What is up, you guys? It's your boy John here from Puma Plow. How's everybody doing? And thank you all very much for clicking on another On the Farm. Now, this is completely different. Not really completely different. This is a little bit different in the fact that we are not at our farm at all in this video. These are some guys on the way down to the farm, kind of. Not going to give away too much here, but my dad does know these people, so it's not like it's a big deal to be flying over them or anything. But as you can see there, that truck is full of corn. So, corn harvest has begun here in Missouri in the St. Louis area. This was filmed, obviously, this past Sunday. Since then, I've heard that multiple other people have started picking corn. And as you can see here, they knocked out a pretty good chunk of this field already. This is quite a lot of acreage down here. This is one of the biggest continuous farms in the area. I think there's like 400 or something acres here. And that's pretty good size for kind of all continuous and everything like that. So we are going to go find something green, of course. It is a John Deere green combine, of course. And I do not know any numbers of any combines, tractors, auger wagons, stuff like that. I did not get close enough to them to steal any numbers or anything. Obviously, this is an S6 something John Deere combine. I don't know what. So, totally not sure. Totally not sure. Got GPS though, 8-row head, and you can see he's full. Firing up, ready to go. Waiting for his auger wagon to come back. I think to be honest, they needed one more truck and another driver, because it didn't seem like they could keep up with the amount of corn that they were able to harvest that day. And because it was a Sunday, maybe they didn't have their full staff like normal. I'm not pretty sure. These guys farm a fair bit of land in a couple different spots, so I'm sure they have quite a few people working for them and with them and whatnot. But that combine's getting full. I don't know the yield of this corn, like how much per acre. I'm assuming it was pretty decent because he was filling that combine up in like no time. So it had to be at least a little good to be doing that. And yeah, so not too dusty. The corn's not like overly dry or overly moldy right now, because that's a lot of that dust coming out of corn sometimes can be mold. And so it's not as bad right now as it has been other times. And the later the season goes, it really depends how much rain you get while trying to harvest corn. We're in a pretty good dry stretch here, so they should be able to knock out a bunch of corn harvesting in the area here. So there you can see he's dumping in the auger wagon, and that auger wagon is huge, by the way. When we first pulled up to where we were sitting, he was actually unloading into that truck, and he filled that entire truck on one auger wagon load. Now, I know that's not the biggest trailer in the world. I don't think it holds 1,000 bushel, but still, this auger wagon is massive. It might hold 1,000. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. But just a massive, massive auger wagon. It is on tracks, and I'm actually kind of surprised to see they don't have duals on the front of the tractor, like a lot of the guys are starting to run now. Duals all around on your tractor. And but yeah, auger wagon on tracks. I think that is probably one of maybe two that I know of that guys have down by us with tracks. I can think of another farmer that might have one. Most of them have wheels. Like the guys who farm ours just have, big wheels on theirs. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome auger wagon. It's huge though, like I said. And it's amazing how these massive pieces of equipment look like toys from the air. Especially towards the end of this video, I go up to like 400 feet and get a cool little shot of them, and they just look like little toys. So, but this particular day, this particular Sunday, was a very busy day for us. We went to our farm and did just basically stuff we do every week. Cut the grass, worked in the garden a little bit, sprayed the pumpkins for bugs, stuff like that. Just normal stuff that we do every week. We actually watered our pumpkins, and like I said earlier, it's been a little dry here lately. We've have had a little bit of rain. I think we got around an inch the other day, but we watered them before that. So it actually got to the point where I started watering my yard again here at home, just because it's been so dry. But then we got like an inch of rain. It's like the next day, of course, it's like, oh, come on. So just the way it works, But yeah, so I did not actually get out of camera the entire rest of the day, and we weren't down there very long. You know, been having some stuff going on in the personal life with mom and everything. As I'm sure most of you guys already know, she is getting better. But this was filmed a day where she was still in the hospital. So we're busy. We were busy. So I really didn't think we were going to have any on the farm. And then we stopped and filmed this. And I was like, okay, this is on the farm this week. It's basically a one take. This is one battery through the DJI Phantom 3 Professional. It's basically just all the footage. There's a little bit I trimmed off at the beginning and end. Like I was filming all the way when I flew back to the truck. And I cut that out, obviously, 'cause y'all don't need to see that. But yeah, so you can see this combine is just a rolling. I think he was going around 6-7 miles an hour based off the speed of my drone at times. When I was keeping with him, I would check the speed on my drone. I was going about 6.5, something like that. So pretty cool. And it is amazing how much corn they can pick in a day compared to what Grandpa used to do back in the day. He had a gleaner combine with a 2-row corn head. And as you can imagine, when you're picking 2 rows at a time, going a lot slower with your ground speed, you just don't make nearly as much corn disappear in a day. And he didn't have an auger wagon back in the day, and he had to stop and fill up his truck. Then he'd have to drive the truck up to the shed, or up to the grain bins, unload them. And it was a whole thing. And he had a batch drying system where it was like a big, is it called a batch dryer? I think so, batch dryer. There's a grain bin. It's actually the grain bin that I use for storing my Christmas lights in now. That's a whole nother story. We'll do a video on that when it gets closer to the time when I have to put my Christmas lights out. But Grandpa used to put so much corn in there per day, and then it would run the propane burner, and the air would blow up through the floor, and then it was a whole thing. But did not have like the continuous dryers that you see nowadays and everything. Basically, and I know this is kind of a regional thing, 'cause not everybody in America has grain drying equipment, but basically everybody around us has it. It's one of those things where they don't really wait for it to dry in the field. They pick it a couple points wet, and then they'll hit it with some propane. This year, with prices sucking as much as they are, I could see guys holding off a little bit and waiting for the corn to naturally dry a little bit more. But you always run the risk of getting a storm and knocking all your corn down. Well, then you lose any potential of profit by leaving all your corn on the ground out in the field. So it's kind of one of those things you have to kind of weigh. Okay, do we want to spend a little propane, or do we want to just wait and not spend some money on propane? There's a couple guys that don't have drying systems, and usually it seems like they make out all right. But for these big farmers that farm thousands and thousands of acres, they have to have a drying system. So what I was looking at here is just getting down a little closer to see if it's one of those corn heads that chops. The newer corn heads have like little blades on the bottom that chop up with the corn stalks as you're going, and yes, it definitely was. You can tell it has been chopped. Looks like he might be picking just a little high as his head set up just a little bit, but it was chopping nonetheless. The older style ones leave a big mess with corn stalks and everything behind, and these new ones are pretty awesome. So pretty awesome. You guys can see there in that last little clip there was a lot of corn to be harvested still in this field. And then actually all of that on the top of the screen going off in the distance, that is all theirs to harvest as well. They have to divide the field up because you just can't drive that far with the combine when it comes time to harvest without filling up. So they plan it in like chunks basically to ensure that the combine can actually make it across the field. So, but here we go up to about 400 feet. I just think it's really cool to see this stuff from up real high and how it just looks like toys. Like I said earlier, you could just like reach down and play with that like it's a little toy, and it's a $500,000 piece of equipment sitting there. So it is very impressive and really cool to see it. And yeah, so we're coming back down already. A little bit, maybe not. You can see here starting to appear on screen, right? It looks like they went in and did some mowing or a little bit of picking of like the bad corn. You can see there's a water hole there. And so they must have wanted to get in there ahead of time and get rid of some of that before picking the rest of the field. And guys, we are just about done here, so I'm going to go ahead and say hit that like button for more. Please subscribe if you have not already done so. We'll get back to kind of on the actual farm of ours next week, hopefully. And until then, I'm your boy John from Puma Plow. Thank you all very much for watching, and toodles.